Hey guys, Sean Bougie, surplusfundsriches.net. If somebody could do me a favor, please don't use the question and answer section. Please use the regular comments section. And if someone could let me know that you can hear and see me okay, I'd really appreciate it. Use the comments. Also, you'll see a file download. You should be able to download a file from us. That'll come in handy. But if you folks could let me know you can see and hear me okay, that would be great. Then I'll turn off chat for just a minute and I'll be covering. I've got a list of sticky notes across the top of the display that I need to cover with you tonight. I can see and hear you. Thank you, Jennifer. And good to see you, Jennifer. All right, guys, I'm going to take off. You can say hey as soon as I do this, but as soon as I get back in here, I got to pick these up. All right, I'm taking off chat for a second. Derek, hi, I can see and hear you. Hear and see you fine, says Stab. That's great. Guys, bunch of announcements, and then I'll open it up for questions. Remember, we've got limited time, so I need to cover a lot of stuff. But anyway, well, let's get at it. So first of all, you got a file download, okay? You've got a file download. It should be near your comment section. I definitely download that. It's an overview of the upcoming sale and an overview of the programs that we have. Deed Flip 30 is coming up to be the next. The next time we allow people to become members will be the 16th and the 17th of June. And the special is on the Deed Flip 30. And the reason for that is, first of all, we're just destroying surplus right now with all the different surplus programs. We're just doing insane. And I have something I'm going to come back to on that in just a minute because we had a really good question earlier through support. Jeff is off through Wednesday, and I'm covering for him. And so I'm pulling double duty and I'm underwriting the submissions too. So it's been an interesting day today. But all right. So the reason we're having Deed Flip 30 as a special is because we think this is going to be the year where the deed flip catches up to surplus as far as how well it's doing. It's always done very well. However, we think it's going to do even better this year because people have kind of gotten the memo. Yes, there's low inventory. Yes, we've got stable pricing, but with the rates where they are, the buyers aren't there as much as they were, even though property is still staying on the market for a month or less. And just so you guys understand how real estate works, if properties are selling in less than 6 months, it's more of a seller's market. Once you get to 6 months, it's pretty much even, and then over 6 months, and it's a buyer's market. Historically, that's always been the case. All right, so Memorial Day, we are off. Another announcement down. South Carolina came up today. Pete, haven't answered your question yet. Yes, we're doing very well there, particularly with panning. And one thing you should know, guys, is there is a statute in there that says we have 45 days to claim the money. Yes and no. We have 45 days to claim the money through the county. After that period, we have to go through the state as well. Our attorneys are stupid good in South Carolina. So that will build in about a month delay if it's been sent off to the state. But if it's prior to 45 days, I have 2 deals coming out of there right now. I think they're both from South Carolina. Royal and Heron are coming out. Should be getting paid this coming week. Please understand, first of all, we're off Memorial Day. You guys know that. Banks are closed Memorial Day. Another thing is, even if we get paid, I think on the one, we're going to get a check into the attorney tomorrow. It does take, even with a trust account, a couple of days for that to clear where they can cut me a check. Now, once they cut me a check, there's usually no delay. I've got a high-end business account, so we don't have an issue there. Need you guys to submit deals as outlined, and I'll get through these quickly so we can get to your guys' questions, right? Need you to submit as outlined. So don't do extra work where you try to find a phone number for a program where that's not your deal. You're not supposed to call them, that type of thing. That really messes up submissions. They don't know how to handle that. And it just kind of throws a wrench in it. So please always follow directions, especially if you bought a bundle and you've got multiple programs. You're trying to kind of hybridize them. Use the program that you're trying to use. Don't use something from another one. June 16th and 17th is the sale. That's the next time we're taking new members. Starts at 10 a.m. Eastern. This time, I think we're probably going to shut it down a little early. It'll be 16th and 17th, but I doubt we'll make it to 10 p.m. on the 17th. All right. So, and just so you guys know, the reason we do that is because we offer the partnership option. We want to make sure we can monitor and throttle the number of people coming on board. More than enough people to handle it, guys. Just so you know, I've got 6 full-time employees. All right. They all make really, really good money. There's no one in my office that makes less than $60,000 a year, which is really good money. For something that doesn't take, that's the minimum that you can make in the office. And I pay for their health insurance, health, eye insurance, and even a death benefit, $15,000, but death benefit, and nothing comes out of their pocket for that. So I've got really dedicated employees. They're really, really, really good. That's why I have their backs. They're really good. The last thing, the last thing I want to cover is start. We've got a lot of guys that they'll ask a ton of questions. I've never turned anything in, and we know what's going on. Jeff and I both. It's the I'm afraid to start. Just start. You're going to screw up. You're going to mess up the submission. We'll tell you what's wrong, and the only time we'll get frustrated or maybe a little short with you is if you've turned something, the same thing, made the same mistake 3 times in a row, and we explain what to change. We'll get a little frustrated, but turn it in. Get started. And good job. If Latrice, if you're here, I've got some feedback for you on that first submission, but you're 90% there. So I'm glad you started. All right, so let's go to the chat again. Let's enable that. Any and all questions are good, guys. Chat should now be enabled. Again, thank you for checking in there, Tab, Derek, and Jennifer. And any and all questions are more than welcome. Now, if I don't know, I know it's shocking, but occasionally I won't have an answer, and that's because Jeff and I are business partners, and Jeff handles submissions and he handles support. So he handles the front line more than I do. And frankly, the last couple of ebooks that we've launched, he's been involved with over 50%, probably close to 80% of the writing of those programs, because he wants to be more involved with the teaching, because he deals with you guys when you submit stuff. All right, here comes Hasha. Question for panning. I know one cannot work a case where the person is deceased, right? Or it mentions only possible heirs. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up before I go through the rest of your question, Hasha. So one thing that I heard today that scared me is somebody said, well, I looked all these up and they were all dead because it said surplus funds due to their name, comma, and or heirs. Whoa, that doesn't mean they're dead. That just means that if they are dead, the heirs can make a claim. Now, if it says estate of the person, they're dead. However, if there's an appointed administrator or executor of an estate clearly stated in a foreclosure case as to when the estate was transferred, is it workable at all? Hasha, I'm going to have you ask that in support, because I don't want to go behind Jeff. That should be covered in the program. If the program says, hey, if they're deceased, we're not working it, then that's just how it is. I understand where you're coming from. I know that we will in Florida, and maybe one other thing one other program we do that with. I found a case where a man died several years ago. Daughter was the administrator. She is named as the defendant, and the transfer. Wait a minute. Transfer of estate was noted. Transfer of estate was noted in the complaint in mortgage foreclosure. I should include that in the worksheet case file. She's not on the deed. There's no quitclaim deed or power of attorney document, and I can't find a will either. She's on social media. Don't worry about that. Guys, please don't try to find people for us. Don't do that. If it is workable, would I put the daughter as the filing? She is named as the defendant, and the transfer of estate was noted in the complaint in the mortgage foreclosure. Do me a favor, Hasha. Submit that. I'll take a look at it. Jeff and I we normally talk like 5 times a day. Even when he's finally on vacation, he hasn't taken one in 3 years. I should be able to reach him for a short period tomorrow. Just understand, it might be Tuesday, Wednesday, we get back with you on this, okay? Brad, on a list of files being worked, panning, actually, Brad, all of them are combined. National Surplus, Premier 16, all of our surplus funds are on one list, just so you know. Being worked. The name is supposed to be the one last on title, correct? Yeah, the last deed holder. If that name is not correct, can we submit a new file with the correct person on title and get credit for it? Brad, if it was a Florida file, that's a separate program, but if it was a Florida file, which you can't work for panning anyway, but if it was, we have a different thing there, because Florida has a weird rule with mortgage foreclosures, and that is it's the owner. And this is why those of you guys that work Florida, you see 2 different spots for owner name, and you're like, what are you doing? Because it's the name on the list pendants, and then it's also the other one. the owner at the time that the list pendants or when the court said, hey, we're about to foreclose on this property in Florida in a mortgage overage, only state that this works. We have to use that person, even if they quit claimed it to somebody else prior to the sale. Mortgage overages only, Florida only. Brad, send that to me personally. I'll take a look at it. Team Bougie, TEAMBUIGE at gmail.com. Guys, please understand something. We have guys sometimes go, well, they got this wrong by, by $1,000, or they did this or they did that. Can I get it instead? Every once in a while, something's going to slip through for you too. It's not often, but occasionally it'll happen. Do you want us to give it to somebody else to come back later and finds out you were off by $200? And that's something to consider when you're thinking about this stuff. Okay. You're welcome to send it to me directly. Team Bougie, TEAM. The replay of this will be up on YouTube later. Then my last name, B as in boy, UIG as in George, E at Gmail. Jennifer, in one of your videos, you said that some people will start and stop because they don't have it in them to continue going. Can you speak to this? What don't they have, and why do you think people quit? Jennifer, primarily that was said toward the people that turn in 2 or 3 files. I had a guy today go, hey, I need to check on my files. I sent in 2. And I was just like, I had to tell him, hey, look, first of all, you got to send in 20 before you can ask him. You get an update of everything that's going on. But I also said, hey, listen, 2 is a low number. So that's mostly speaking to people that turn in a couple and then they're just gone. They're like, I'm just going to see if one of these works. And it's just unfortunately not how it works. And by the way, I saw you kind of sticking up for the system with that gentleman on YouTube, and I appreciate that. Tab, in Sean's free 1-hour YouTube video of surplus funds training about a year ago, he showed how to find the deed of trust. Yep. If the deed of trust has been paid off, where there'll be an additional page or pages showing DOT paid off. Tab, it's right in the ebook showing you that. You'll see a cancellation, a termination, or cancellation, termination. Yeah. Or that's it. Cancellation or termination of a deed of trust. Deed of trust, guys, is usually not used. Only a couple of states. It means mortgage. If you don't see that, then it wasn't paid off. Tristan. I don't understand that question. What does it specifically mean when an attorney is supposed to? I'm sorry, give me a little more context, okay? Kelly, if there are no loans on a property, do we just leave it blank? So put none. I would put none, Kelly. Guys, especially in tax overages, you're going to find quite frequently they didn't have additional debt against. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, you have to get a mortgage to get a home. No, a lot of people buy homes cash, believe it or not, where the tax situation, they'll inherit it a lot of times. We see that a lot. So sometimes there aren't loans. You can put none and you're good. As long as you search and you show us that you searched. You got to show your work, because we had too many people doing shortcuts before. Jay Clark, thank you for having me. Yes. Why does it specifically mean when an attorney is supposed to petition a claim? Tristan, in a lot of, I think I should be calling you Bernard, in a lot of situations, when you're looking at where it says petition, they have to motion. There's no option to fill out a claim form or anything else. North Carolina is a state like that. Ohio, we have to motion for the vast majority of them in Ohio. There's a lot of states that says an attorney has to petition for the money. And by the way, with panning, where we have to get in touch with the trustee, they won't even talk to anybody but an attorney. And they actually see our power of attorney with the attorney before they'll even give us information. How's this work in Delaware and Connecticut? It works just fine, Randall. I believe Delaware has a very short time to claim, maybe 90 days. You can check the statutes on that, but it works just fine. Guys, the only states we don't work are Oregon, Washington State, or Colorado, and North Carolina is on hold except for panning because of the way the state won't give out a list. And Florida is a separate program for us. So Oregon, Washington State, Colorado, we won't take deals from. You're welcome to work them. And then North Carolina, they won't give you a list, and Florida is a separate program. So you got 45 states. If you got a bundle with Florida, you can work 46. Charisse, I'm getting started, really trying to figure out which state I should start with. I've looked up a lot of cases that were already on the list, then move on, Charisse, to another state. Guys, we have worked Maryland, Virginia, North and South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. Oh, before we stopped, Oregon, before we stopped, Colorado, because it was just too difficult to work those, by the way. California, Delaware, Connecticut, Arizona, Texas, Nevada, North and South Dakota, Montana. Oh, good Lord. I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on. Idaho, Illinois. We've worked darn near New Mexico, darn near everything. So don't get caught up and just worry, oh my gosh, there's a bunch turned in for this date. Fine, go to another one. Galen, I just found you in your program today. Is there a beginner program? Yeah, I would recommend the National Surplus Funds Program. It's $597. That'll be available January the 16th and 17th, starting on the 16th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, probably running halfway through the following day unless we sell out at the website. And download those files. Download the file download that's in front of you, please. If those of you guys seeing this as you're not seeing it live, you're seeing it as a replay. There is no file download available for you. You have to go to the products page, surplusfundsriches.net, click on products. It'll ask you to put your name, number, and email in. We're not going to spam you, and you can always unsubscribe. It's a way for us to keep track of you and let you know about sales and that type of thing. We do very light touches on that. That'll drop you on the products page, and halfway down the middle of the page, you'll see a download for pricing on the upcoming sale and a download that covers all the different programs. I'm new and I understand 20K is a minimum. Is that for my husband and wife? Must have 20K for each, or have 20K for husband and wife? Look, if it's a husband and wife, we're going to assume that we can get them both. So go ahead and turn it in. If I start as a researcher, okay, if you have two that are married, that's fine. That's what I'm trying to say. If I start as a researcher, is a training complete? Will I need to spend any additional money to do the work? No, you won't, Christine. Georgia, you've got to research debt against the property prior to the sale. Georgia charges you to access their Register of Deeds department. As a result, though, we do insane work there because a lot of people, at least our competitors, don't work it. It's $25 a month and you get to search the entire state. It's kind of silly cheap. GSCCCA, I think it's the name of it. But other than that, well, California will charge you also to check documents online. Other than that, it should be free. Husha, thanks. The sheriff just came up a half hour ago. We'll submit it now. Sounds good. RJ, been having trouble with the paperwork email. It's been coming back as undelivered for the past couple of days. I've been carbon copying your email and it works that way. So, RJ, if you're not sending it to paperwork, paperwork's not getting it. So if you're carbon copying it to something else, if that's making it not bounce at all, that's great. If I remember, I read it and I was like, it's just not an issue. And I tested it back and forth. RJ, I think it wasn't bouncing when it was hitting there. Whenever anybody submits the paperwork, it's submitted to the paperwork, which is an online email system through one of our carriers. But it's also copied onto another paperwork account. You guys probably, some of you guys have seen it on Gmail. That's our backup because I just do unlimited memory and just say screw it, and that's forever. We can keep files. So see if you're getting any kind of a dingback, and if you are, let me know. I may have to go into that backup email system and whitelist you. Okay. So if you've turned in something and it's not showing off the list as fast as it normally does, let me know, RJ. Okay. Brad, this was Nevada Panning. Oh, now I got to go back, Brad. On the list of files being worked, the name is supposed to be. Okay, well, I think I told you what to do with that. Let's see. Tristan, what does it mean when an attorney is supposed to petition a claim, or does it just mean my attorney is the one that's submitting it to the court? No, they have to petition. They have to go before the court and open up a hearing, a motion. Yeah. Galen, can you do this nationwide? I found foreclosure secrets and they said it doesn't work in Colorado. Galen, it does work in Colorado if you want to do it on your own. We stopped doing it for a reason. And a lot of people don't realize this. I did a video on this years ago. I was working Colorado. We had I'd already pulled a ton of money out of there. A couple deals in claim. They got in touch with me. Excuse me. The Consumer Affairs Department with the state attorney general. And trust me, when you get that kind of a email or call, you sit up a little straighter. So the problem, and they had me send them all my information, anything in Colorado, and I did. And by the way, when we do that, we're not required to send out, just so everybody knows, the researcher name with that, okay? So because we're on the hook, we're on the front line, not you. So anyway, we sent everything to the state, and they said, we don't like that you, and we've actually changed the mailing since then that we send to people. And only Colorado had this beef. But Colorado said, we don't like the fact that you said it's court-held funds. That's misleading. It's actually held by a certain department. It's actually held by a certain department. And as a result of it being held by the department, you're misleading people by saying that it's held by the court and we're going to fine you. And they started out at 50 grand. I was like, whoa, we still have to go through the court for them to release it from this department. So it sounds to me like you're splitting hairs. I got my attorney involved. Bottom line is they wouldn't hear it. At the end, okay, Jeff's calling. Hey, man. I'm in the webinar. All right, bye. So I guess he's on vacation. He's on island time right now. Okay, so I'm trying to remember where I was with this. So Colorado, the issue is they ended up saying, we don't care. You were misleading people because of that. We're going to throw a fine at you. At the end, I actually had my attorney on the line who knows me. She's worked with me before. And she knows that I can tell people off. And she was like, okay, we've got an agreement, Sean. This is just a call to reiterate. So we went over everything again. And then he said, is there anything else you'd like to say, Mr. Brugge? And I said, yeah. I said, you guys are Colorado. You have a budget surplus because you sell weed and you tax it heavily. And you're lecturing me about being moral or misleading people. I said, in addition to that, I'm allowed to pay you back this $33,000 file over the next 3 months, which means I have to work other states in order to pull this money in to pay off your bill. So this has nothing to do with me misleading people. It has everything to do with you guys wanting to get 33 grand. And my attorney said, okay, that sounds like that's a wrap. Then we hung up. But that's why we don't work Colorado, guys. They were really splitting hairs. And Oregon and Washington State have the same problem. The state attorney generals have political aspirations. So they're trying to just put people into the jail left and right. In this case, it was a money grab. Sure. And by the way, we have been challenged before on the way that we retrieve funds and never lost, never taken to court either. They've taken one look at it, just like Colorado went, we don't have a problem with the way you're doing it. We just had a problem with your mailing. Cherise, I'm so excited to be getting involved. Are there any tips you can give to someone just starting in what state to start in? Again, guys, you can work all those. We really don't, and we don't give up like honey holes, so to speak, places where people are really tearing it up. Just work wherever you can get a list. Seriously, Florida's its own program. If you can afford to get if you're going to start up with this, if you can afford to get at least, say, the best of the best or the gold bundle, it has Florida in it. It's super easy to work. Kelly, if there is a declaration of substandard billing and the property abatement lien can be included in the docs that we send to you. Declaration of substandard property abatement lien. Okay, so what probably happened, Kelly, is in a property abatement lien, man, I've been doing this a long time. In a property abatement lien, it's a condemnation. All right. So what they probably did was they totaled the property. They literally bulldozed it down to keep everybody safe. And in that instance, that lien is going to also count against surplus. And you better bet the county's not going to overlook their own lien. It's probably involved through or indirectly through code enforcement. Really good question. Tab, to my previous question, if the DOT is still active but not yet paid off, is there a way to determine the current debt, or is the current debt value unneeded? Tab, in the program, we tell you, I believe, to use the initial debt amount. We have to assume that. Michelle, I discovered a list of the amounts on the surplus list that did not match up with the amount. I discovered a list. The amounts on the surplus list did not match up with the amount, what was owed, and how much the property sold for. You got to go by the list, Michelle. For instance, in tax sales, they may be collecting, for instance, right now, they might be collecting overdue taxes from 20 and 21. Well, when they went to foreclose, they actually took out 22 as well. That can happen. Okay. They can even take out a portion of 23. If it's a mortgage overage, they can come back and go, hey, it's taken us a year to foreclose, so we're going to up our costs with the attorneys. Go by what the list said is being held. Absolutely. Except if you guys are working panning, obviously. Cassandra, can you buy deed flip 30, then premium program 16 on the 16th? And how is Illinois with workable? You can work Illinois, Cassandra. Look on the list. Check the file download you've got there. It'll show you what are add-ons and what and that type of thing. check it on there if you would. Now, I can tell you that I believe the Power Play is going to have both of those. Now, remember, with Deed Flip 30 and Premier 16, part of your deal as a partner is to call these people. That's why you're getting higher percentages on those. You have to skip, trace them, call them, mail them, get in touch with them, make sure you got the right person, and they're willing to speak with us. I'm in Colorado. Why doesn't it work here? Yeah, I went through that. Charisse, do you do Suffolk, New York? Charisse, we don't do Oregon, Washington State, Colorado, North Carolina only with panning, and Florida is a separate program. The rest of them we do. But whatever you do, guys, do not get caught up in working just your state or your area. I see that a lot. It's a monstrous mistake. This is online from home. The difference, for instance, I'm talking to you from the greater Charlotte area in North Carolina. The difference from me working Mecklenburg County where I'm at and LA across the country, the difference is like 1/1,000,000th of a second because it's online, right? It's speed of light. So don't just work your area. Have you heard of XPLS Pro? If so, opinions? Yeah, we just do it our way, Tristan. We don't go into other methods. RJ, it must be working when I CC you because when a claimant is deceased, I get an answer. But you fixed the problem. I'll tell you what, though, RJ, I'll take a look at it tomorrow. And by the way, you've had a lot of success, man, and you've been working really hard, and I appreciate that. Pete, response time on my question was awesome. On the paperwork submission, make sure they are sending to .com, not .net. Yes, guys, whenever you submit, yes, you get the programs on .net. The .com site, which is so antiquated, I'm the first one to admit it. It is so antiquated that it uses the old free MS system for making it, but we can go in and tweak everything the way we want. We haven't messed with it since 2007. That's the .com. It's paperwork at surplusfundsriches.com. That's the system where we've got the email there. The .net is a completely different deal. .net is where we handle most of our stuff, and that's the best way to go. It has everything you need on there, and you shouldn't have an issue on it at all. But the .com is our old site, and that's what the email goes to for paperwork submission. There's some things we can do on there because it's outdated that we can't do on new stuff. I'm from here, and I agree it does suck. Kaylin, you got it. Michelle, thank you for the feedback regarding conflicts on dollar amounts. Hey, no problem, Michelle. And, a lot of people lose track of that because they overthink it. And that's another thing I want to talk about real quick because we're almost out of time. Don't overthink things, guys. And I had another young lady I was going back and forth with, and I had to get kind of harsh with her because she hadn't submitted anything and would say, well, what about? Just turn it in. Just turn it in. Worst thing that can happen is Jeff's going to look at it in underwriting, or for the next week it'll be me. And we're going to go, hey, you missed this, and this. Please fix these items and turn it in. Yes, occasionally we're going to get frustrated. I had one today where the person turned in and they didn't fill out half the blanks on the first sheet of the title worksheet. And I was like, what are you doing? You didn't even put your researcher name in there, So yes, we'll get frustrated every once in a while. You got it, RJ. I no problem acknowledging it. Okay, so somebody went to Q&A. Guys, told you from the beginning, Derek, you heard it before you asked all these questions. You got to use chat, please. So I'm gonna answer these real quick because we're running out of time. Where can I find the statutes? I would go to NOLO, NOLO.com, and do a search, surplus fund statute, name of the state. Seriously, easy as heck to find. They want that stuff to be found. When dealing with tax and mortgage overages, aside from liens, what are the things to look out for? Derek, I would just say just avoid working people that are deceased. Don't try to go down the rabbit hole, find errors and figure out who's right, who's wrong. And they will lie about who their brother is or if they even have one. Where will we find the social security numbers of the people we are trying to assist? Is it okay to ask? You can ask, certainly, Derek. We use we use really good skip tracing systems. I will say one of the things that Microbilt is really good for is you do one type of search and you get the last four. You do another type of search and you get the rest of it. So we do actually, it's a great question because we do actually, if there's a form we have to fill out for the court, instead of just sending it to them where they have to fill in their social, because I can understand where people might get upset about that or worried. We will, but although they're giving us the notary's copying or taking a picture of the driver's license, but we pre-fill that part in for them. And Microbilt's great with that. Microbilt. Excuse me. Tell them Sean Bougie sent you. Talk to Randy Mostetler. Microbilt. No U in the built. Microbilt.com. look up the phone number, talk to Randy, tell him you talk to Sean. He'll waive these $200 startup fee. Microbuild is really good. IDI is better at finding the claimant. Microbuild is good at finding possible relatives and associates. So we use both of them, as well as White Pages Premium, which is surprisingly accurate. Also, is it possible to have one-on-one session to discuss further? No. Derek, what you can do is call me with pre-purchase questions, but please go to surplusfundsriches.net, click on products, go to the middle of the page, download that information and read it before calling me. Because if you call me and go, hey, I just want to give me an overview, that take half hour. I'm not going to do that. Read that, please, first, or download the file with this, the file download that you can see in front of you. It's a shared file. And then ask me questions after you read that, please. Can people donate to charity? If so, can they donate to a charity that belongs to me? Derek, that sounds shady as. Okay, I'm not going to talk to you anymore about that. All right, let's look at chat. 1,000 thanks from Derek. Sorry, man, just that last question threw me that I read. Thanks for being you and your team. Allow me to work deals with you. Thank you, says Derek. I appreciate that. All right, guys, hope everybody has a great night. And thank you very much for coming and being part of the community.